Hello, I'm Dr. Almeen Sinclair. I'm an educational psychologist and I'm also the coordinator of Student Advice, which forms part of the Student Success Initiative. Welcome to Stellenbosch University. We're excited to welcome and congratulate you on choosing Stellenbosch University as the higher education institution where your child will embark on their higher education journey. This is an exciting time for the whole family, but also a huge adjustment. So leaving school and transitioning to university, as I said, is an adjustment on various levels. If we just look at the learning environment, at school it was structured, there were smaller classes, and it was also the relationship between the teacher and the student was also a very close relationship. Where at the university, it looks a little bit different. It's a less directed journey. It's expected from the student to follow self-directed learning, and classes are larger. That brings us to the change in expectations in terms of responsibility and independence. At school, teachers and parents took a lot of the responsibility for the learning journey of the student, of your child. Here at university, it's a little bit different. A lot of the responsibility now rests on the student. The student will get guidelines, we will orientate the students, they will get a program, but then they must take the responsibility to attend class, to prepare for lectures, to prepare for assignments, to do their assignments, and to submit it in time. Nobody will remind them when there's a due date and when it will have to be submitted. There's also a huge difference in terms of workload and time management. In school, again, it's very structured. There's consistent homework. When you attend a class, there will be homework that must be submitted the next day or the day thereafter, but very clear guidelines provided by teachers and often also supported and followed up by parents or people responsible for extra classes. Classes also happen on a daily basis. Most of your subjects in school, learners will attend daily. But at university, it's different. Students must take a lot more responsibility. They will know in advance, usually at the beginning of a semester, which assignments and assessments needs to be done, when it's due. And then they need to follow more independent studying to prepare them, to do the assignments, and to submit it on time. The assessment methods also differ. School, there's regular tests, and it's often the assessment is marks orientated. So there's regular assessments, marks are received, and the marks also then help the learner and the parents to decide which type of interventions are needed, on which material they should focus more to be better prepared for the final exams. Where at university, in some modules, they may only have assignments to do, and that will in the end determine if they pass a module or not. Or they have assignments combined with tests, and in the end a final exam. In most of our modules we work with an assessment model consisting of assessment 1, assessment 2 and assessment 3. And what's interesting, we even give students in many of our modules the choice to only do 2 of the 3 assessments. So again, there's more responsibility that comes with these specific choices that students are allowed to exercise. Then, in terms of focus and specialization, in school, students follow a broad curriculum. Yes, I know, often they talk about the big 5, etc. But if we look at the content, it's still broad and it's preparatory. And school provides general education and provides students for numerous career fields, where at university, students start to specialize. The first year might still be very general, but as they progress in their degrees, they get more specialized training for specific careers. In terms of peer relationships in schools, students or learners know the people around them. Often they start off school with friends in the class, and these friends progress with them from grade 1 up until the later grades. It can even be until grade 12. We often hear the stories of these friendships that started way before schools. So the social environment in school is familiar. It's the friends, it's the family. But once they come to university, there are new friends and there are diverse social networks that these young adults need to negotiate. So it's not only about choices regarding modules, regarding programs, but it's also choices about friends and your social circles. Living arrangements, wow, there's a big difference. So in school, many of our learners grow up in homes, or they might during the school week stay in school residences. At university, many of the young adults leave home for the first time, and they will stay independently or in residence or in private university residences or private residences, which is already another adjustment with new rules. Even if they stay in their family home, the relationship and the contract in terms of what is allowed, what is not allowed, do change once they come to university. In terms of support, at school, there is a lot of support. Teachers and parents direct these learners towards the support that's available. So typically, learners will need support. Somebody else identifies the need and they direct them towards it. At university, it's different. Yes, there are people who pick up on students that experience challenges, but in many instances, students need to self-refer and tap into all the resources that are available. But what is the parents' role in these changing circumstances, in this progression from school to university? So the parents' support also significantly, or their role significantly changes as the student progresses towards university. The parental support significantly in general impacts a student's academic, emotional, and social success. In terms of emotional support, it contributes to students' well-being. Positive involvement increases students' confidence, and research shows that parental engagement improves academic performance, still at university. So I'm not going to tell you you may not be involved with your child's journey at the university, but how parents are involved changes, and that's what we're going to focus more on. So when dealing with students where they are at their different developmental stages, we need to take the following into account. This also impacts on how they navigate this journey. They are now in the process of finding their feet in the adult world. So they're becoming independent. They explore their own identities. They establish new relationships. And they form and internalize their own value sets. They might also need to learn how to form and maintain relationships on various levels. And this might bring them seemingly into conflict with their families, but it is a very important part of growing up and becoming their own persons. So just be careful. We often see in our offices different types of parenting styles. You might have heard already about the helicopter parents, and that the picture in the slide demonstrates that well. That's typically where the parent becomes over-involved in the student's life, wanting to know each and everything that's happening. And that actually can cause a lot of anxiety for the young adult. As parents, we think we do it because that is what they do. And I know parents always want the best for their children. But at this specific developmental age, we must be very careful to overparent. So it's more a case of trust than just doing everything and regulating everything for the young adult. Something similar, but not exactly like helicopter parenting, is the lawnmower parents, who actually walk in front of the young adult, making sure all the obstacles get out of their way, removing it for them just to prevent them from experiencing any troubles. And yes, again, I know parents want absolutely the best for their young adults. But by removing the obstacles out of their way, we actually do not give them the opportunity to develop and to learn and to progress through mastering certain obstacles and through dealing with it constructively. Sometimes disappointment is actually necessary to grow and to move forward. There is a concept called failing forward. You are welcome to Google it. It's actually very interesting how failure can help us to develop and grow. And then we also see what some of our clients in our offices refer to as Facebook parents. And that's almost the typical on the other side of the continuum, where you get parents who are almost not involved, but when the students look at their parents' social media pages, they are posting about their young adults' great performances and great life and achievements at the university. So also that we must also be very, very careful of. So I have referred to what we see in our offices, what we often experience, and that can help parents to understand how to support their young adults constructively. So I have already alluded to the adjustment, but let's just talk a bit about this first year that your young adult will have to negotiate. In the first place, there's the academic adjustment, and during this period of adjustment, the young adult must develop self-regulating behaviors. They must learn and develop skills where they can monitor, adjust to be successful at the university. That's self-regulating, where they actually can ask themselves, what works well? What doesn't work for me? What do I have to continue doing? What do I need to stop doing? So that's the typical self-regulation development that needs to happen. Also, our young adults, the first years, need to establish the relationships with their lecturers. The lecturer is not just a person standing there up front in class. That's not approachable. Lecturers are actually very approachable and can provide insight and additional guidance where necessary. Often the lecturer that's approachable also then refer the student to another professional at the university if needed. They also need to learn how to manage the increase in workload, need to do a lot of reading, and need to do, as I already said, a lot of self-directed learning. So when the young adult at the university tell you the adjustment is difficult, this is exactly what they are dealing with. They also need to there's a cultural adjustment that's happening where they suddenly live and learn with a diverse student body. There's a lot of language differences that they will be exposed to. Everybody doesn't speak the same language, and suddenly they will learn some unwritten rules about communication within this specific social group. There's also a difference in terms of the belief systems. All the students do not share a similar belief system, and these young adults need to find their way around that. The emotional adjustment, there will be often homesickness. And here I want to say, as much as you would like to just come and grab your child and take them home, be a little bit patient, especially during the first few weeks. If your child is in a residence, they will most probably hear that for the first few weekends they can't go home. I still remember when I was my first week in residence, when I heard that I can't go home, how disappointed I was, because I already had my weekend planned. But there is a reason behind that. During the first few weeks, the residence has a program, an onboarding program. Even in the private residences, or as we call it now, the commuter student organizations, there's an onboarding program that stretches throughout the weekend. And during this program, students get the opportunity to meet new friends, to learn new things, to become more familiar with their environment. So if you suddenly come and take your young adult back home, they miss out on those opportunities for socialization. Once they come back on Monday, they're almost behind on this hidden curriculum. So it's heartbreaking often if they're homesick, but your role is to support and to encourage them not to self-isolate, but to take part in the university's onboarding activities, and so that they can adjust and become part of the university. Adjustment takes time, so don't get frustrated if they are not adjusted within the next 2 weeks. It often takes 6 months or a year or even longer. It's really an individual journey. They will have to learn to cope with stress. I know already at school they did a lot of that, but the stresses are different here at the university. There's also a lot of support in terms of how to cope with stress. The first years, all of them have mentors allocated to them, even if they're not in a residence, and the mentors are trained to help to onboard them, to help them to negotiate these stressors. They also need to develop strategies to promote mental health, and a lot of opportunities to develop the strategies are provided by the university. There's also financial adjustment, not only for the student, for the whole family, but it's important that students learn how to budget and that they take responsibility for the financial responsibilities for their studies. So the university also offers opportunities in terms of how to learn to budget and to develop financial literacy skills. They need to understand that it's an expensive time here at the university. You can actually do the calculations with them, what an hour in the lecture room really costs. It will make them think twice before they don't come or don't attend a lecture, because it's really costly, and that hour they pay for the attention and the knowledge that a lecturer shares with them. This is also part of it is now they will most probably need to reconsider how they spend their holidays. University has long holidays in June, and again June, July, and again at the end of the year, and it might offer the opportunity for them to do holiday work and also to learn and develop in that part of the co-curriculum Teaching, learning doesn't only happen during curriculum time, it also happens outside of the classroom. And these holiday jobs helps to build their portfolio and their CVs. There's an intellectual adjustment. That first holiday, when they get home, you will see the growth that has already happened. Also because they start to internalize their own value system. And it might be different from yours. It might be quite confrontational. But remember, they're still in a developmental phase. And let's allow them to experiment with the necessary responsibilities. During this time, they also take calculated and responsible risks. We encourage that, especially the responsible part in terms of risk taking. And they will often move outside of their comfort zone. But again, that's how they develop and grow. There's shifts in their relationships. They find new peer groups. Some of those long-standing relationships might now dwindle away, and they find new friends. It's also the time when some of them find their first love, or actually find the person they want to share the rest of their lives with. There's new living arrangements. In the residences, chances are good they're going to share a room with somebody else that they don't know, that has, again, a different value system. Although I know some of the residences really try to match students with each other. But we also need to learn to interact with people that are different from ourselves. So there will be relationship challenges, and they will deal with peer pressure. So what's the role of the parents? I cannot emphasize it more. Talk about this journey. So have open conversations with your young adult about their experience at the university. And try not to be just judgmental, but rather to listen and to provide guidance if asked for. And the guidance is not to give answers, but just to nudge them in a direction. So don't judge, rather reflect and encourage. On encouragement, encourage them to engage fully in the university experience. I often look back to my own university experience and wish I had interacted and participated more. But I know we're busy, the curriculum is busy, but do encourage them to follow the proper curriculum and the co-curriculum. Stellenbosch has a very exciting co-curriculum program, and often some students get caught up in that. So it's important to have a balance between the two, but there's value in both. There's actually research that shows that student success is influenced more by the co-curricular experience than by only the curricular experience. Let me say it again. The co-curricular experience has got a greater influence on student success than only the curricular experience. So doing stuff outside of class is extremely important, but you need to combine it with what happens in class too. Encourage a growth mindset. There's excellent YouTube videos about that, and also a very good book titled The Growth Mindset on how one should actually reframe your thinking in cases where you experience disappointment, and reframe it as a growth opportunity. It's not the end, it's the beginning of a next opportunity. And be patient. It takes the entire first year to build the blocks that's necessary for students to be successful. I think it's also extremely important that parents are also aware of the different resources that's available on campus. Stellenbosch is a well-resourced university and do provide a lot of support. One of the challenges might be because of all the support available that students do not always know where to get it. So therefore it's so important that parents also take cognizance of it so that they can help to guide their young adults in the right direction. It often is also just, it takes the guts to say help, and the person who they ask will also help to guide them. We have external resources on campus, but there's also resources inside of each individual. And following a healthy lifestyle is one of those resources that's so important. That is already inside ourselves, and we just sometimes need to be reminded about it. I know they tell me also, but it's students. But when you work with students that's really successful, this is what they do. And if you take each one of the first letters of that slide, it stands for SEEDS, SEEDS. It's about getting enough sleep, getting exercise, caring for your emotional well-being, following a healthy diet, and making time to socialize. If you do those 5 things, a student have planted the seeds for success. So sometimes when they struggle, this is where we will begin in our discussions with students. We will ask them about sleep, about exercise, about their emotional well-being, about their diet, and about their social lives. And with small changes on those different levels, you will see a huge impact that really helps them moving towards success. So as parents, that's also the typical questions one can just do the very careful inquirement about. But I'm from student counseling, we also support them with that. Then in terms of resources, there are many informal platforms also available for students. So when students do struggle, when they experience challenges, doesn't always mean that we must refer them to the professionals available on campus. There's a lot of informal resources available. And that's why networkings with the peers are so important to assist students in knowing about these platforms and about accessing them. All the students will have access to Sunlearn. That is their main academic platform. And that's the online academic environment for them. So when they don't know when assignments are due, they just must consult Sunlearn. So you will start to learn this vocabulary once the students are at the university. When they talk about Sunlearn, that's their student life on a computer, the academic part of it. So Sunlearn is the main academic platform, but students also have access to the lecturers' email addresses to reach out for help. The library offers training on how to use their resources. The Stellenbosch University website and various social media accounts provide support and information depending on the faculty and the department they are associated to. There are also various formal and student societies that students can join, as well as activities that are facilitated within their departments. There are many informal platforms available to students. That is why networking with peers are important to assist students in knowing about these platforms and accessing them. You will often hear in a lot of the information shared with students, but also on different platforms about the CSCD. That's our Student Counseling Center that offers support for free, and it's confidential to our students. I will elaborate on that a little bit later. We also have a campus health service with medical doctors and nurses. They charge medical aid fees, but there's also a specific fee structure for students with no medical aids. So that's available on campus. In faculties, there's the lecturers, there's support staff, there's class reps, there's also the registrar's office. We also have academic advisors in the faculty, so a lot of specific support available in the faculties. We have an excellent language center providing writing and reading support for students. Just on that one, a lot of students struggle with reading. So we built it in many of the first year programs to expose them to a reading course, but they can also get more individualized support from the reading center at the language center. We have campus security services that that's responsible for safety and security on campus. Although we're an open campus, we're part of Stellenbosch, we're part of South Africa, so students will also be informed during the welcoming week all the security, what the security measures are that's in place and how they need to take responsibility for their own safety and security too. We have a dedicated bursary and loans office that caters for financial needs. We have a unit that specifically caters and supports students in terms of gender-based violence and sexual health. And then there's also within the Division of Student Affairs different clusters containing of mentors, student leaders, and the Student Representative Council, where students offer their time and services to help other students. I've already alluded to the welcoming program. That's if you're a newcomer student at the university, that's something you should not miss out on. It's not only fun and games and parties, it's really well structured, a well thought through program to onboard students at the university within the residential and commuter student environment, but also in the faculties. So I really want to encourage you to make sure that your young adults, once they're at the university, attend the complete welcoming program. There they will meet their mentors. At the faculties, they will hear about the tutorials and tutor support. They will also hear about the different co-curricular activities and all the societies that they can choose from and can belong to in the end. We are very proud also to share with you our Sun Success Self-Help app. This is only available for registered students at the university, so unfortunately you can't go and open it now and see what's available on it, but it's because of safety reasons. We only want Stellenbosch University students to have access to it. But this web application provides the students support within the moment that they identify a need for it. So when the students open it, there are different themes highlighted, and the themes are connected to the typical challenges students experience. So for example, adjusting to the university is one of the themes that they can click on. This will guide them to at least to a list of self-help activities which they can choose from to improve their situation at that very specific moment. It also provides them with opportunities to join a group or a work session, and the web app will take them directly to the website or to the form where they need to enroll for these activities, or where they can apply for or register with a specific society. It also gives them access to specific professional services. They just click on the email link and it will take them to the professionals who will make an appointment with them to provide the necessary support. So this is something to keep an eye out for and remind your young adults about when they're at the university. So just to reiterate that, the self-help service provides a centralized resource hub on adjustment, academic performance, career guidance, mental health, finance and food security, job readiness, disability support, physical health, and it also gives the student a wellness score to serve as a kind of an indication of how they're doing and if they need extra support. Just a little bit more about student counseling. CSCD, it stands for Center for Student Counseling and Development. It consists of 4 different units. A unit for academic counseling and development that has a number of educational psychologists and counselors in its service and who can provide support for students with their academic journeys. So often we will see students who will report that they are not happy with their courses or that they are concerned about their academic performance. These educational psychologists will assess the student, do a screening, and provide interventions as necessary. The unit is also responsible for a career guidance or career counseling service. We have a unit for graduate and career services that helps to prepare students for the world of work. There's a disability unit that supports students with disabilities. This unit also helps students to apply for concessions at the university. If your child already had concessions in school, please contact the disability unit to get their applications in for concessions. It's a new application. It can't be carried over from school. So it's a new concession or application that needs to be considered by the university and needs to be granted to the student if successful. This happens already. The first round already happens in February. So reach out early to ensure that these concessions can be activated in time for the first assessment. We also have a unit for psychotherapeutic and support services. This unit consists of clinical and counseling psychologists and counselors that provide psychosocial support to students, as well as 2 social workers that helps with psychosocial issues. The university also has, as part of the CSCD, a 24-hour crisis emergency service. And this is a number that I want you to actually screenshot and keep on your phone. During the day, there is a dedicated crisis counselor available at the Center for Student Counseling that provides immediate counseling for students in crisis. After hours, this service is contracted to ER24, who will also provide the services to the students. This service is also free of charge, except if an ER24 ambulance needs to be activated. How to get hold of student counseling, there's our reception details. So there's a Stellenbosch reception area with 2 telephone numbers. There's also a Tygerberg reception area with a telephone number. You are also welcome to visit our website for more information. And then there's a whole series of email addresses that you can email, or that the student, I actually want to emphasize it, that the student can email to ask for support. For psychotherapy and psychosocial support, it's support us at sun.ac.za. For academic support, it's study success at sun.ac.za. For support with career readiness, it's careers at sun.ac.za. Disability support, disability at sun.ac.za. And then for concession applications, it's skryftyd at sun.ac.za. So when you need to inquire about concessions, when a student needs to apply for that as a new first year student, it's specifically the skryftyd address that they must use to inquire about the procedures that needs to be followed. I also want to say, if you get confused with all of those emails, the administrators of the emails are in contact with each other. So if you send it to the wrong email address, it's not wrong. We will make sure that it reaches the right people so that the student gets the support that's needed. So again, what kind of support does your young adult need? Listen to your child, have a conversation with your child, but allow them to be a student. Trust their skills, their development, and their abilities. Your support can be like a safety net or a trampoline in case the trapeze artists lose their balance or something goes wrong up there. You can be the safety net to catch them. Be careful to be the trampoline that just makes them take off again. We realize that in some cases more action might be needed, but take into account whether your actions allow your child to grow and adult or whether it disempowers them. Encourage your child to be inquisitive and to engage with other students, attend the faculty and other events, get involved in their clusters, residences, or commuter societies or groups. Allow your child to do things for themselves as far as possible and to believe in their own resources and abilities. Make suggestions and inquire whether they followed up. Only step in when they are really not able to do it themselves. Thank you very much, and we're looking forward to meeting your young adult next year at Stellenbosch University.